Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and this is our weekly TV news show, where we talk about news from TV land, where there's new shows in development, and there's renewals, and there's cancellations, and there might be casting bits. There's a lot of casting bits this week, actually, which is why I specifically mentioned that. And there might be new shows from some of the greatest television creators ever, as well.
That's in your opinion.
That's always a possibility. No, that was an objective statement.
It's not, is it?
It's an objective statement. You're only fighting me to annoy me. It's not like you necessarily disagree with me. You're just fighting to annoy me. That's all you're doing.
I'm fighting because it's not a fact. It's an opinion. Even if I agree with it, it's still an opinion.
It's my show. It's a fact.
Bullshit.
Welcome to the show, guys. Did I do our names? I forgot now. We're bickering. I forgot. I'm Peter. That's Connor. Yeah, TV news. Let's go. We're going to do it. There's TV news. So yeah, without further ado, we'll move on. I don't know why I said that twice. That was weird.
Yeah, what's going on with you tonight? You were fine when we just recorded something else like 10 minutes ago.
I don't know. I think I put so much energy into my intro that I'm just feeling kind of hyper now, which I guess is good for the show, but it's causing some blunders here or there.
Yeah. I'm feeling a bit left behind. I've not got that energy to match that.
It's fine. You will blossom as the show goes on. We'll see if we can do it. We'll have a ginger metamorphosis.
Don't hold your breath, folks.
We'll start up quickly with something that Connor insisted I put in. Now, I actually like this show. I'm way behind on it. I'm like on season 6 out of... What's the next season of this?
13.
We're talking about It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Basically, the next season got a premiere date. September 5th is when it's hitting. And it's worth mentioning Dennis from the Dennis system, who likes it to imply things.
Infamous system.
Yes, infamous system. Glenn Howerton is going to be on the show next season. He's still going to be around, but he's going to be there as a recurring star rather as a regular because of his other commitments. So there's been speculation back and forth whether he's going to even be on the season at all. So this seems like a nice,
it's something split. At least, because based on where the last season left off, it could have been, well, that's it, no more Dennis.
It's a compromise. It works.
Yeah,
it works. I kind of love that Danny DeVito after all, because he could just go and retire if he wanted to, but he's still doing that show.
He's doing it just because he likes it, isn't he?
Yeah, he has to do stupid things on that show, so he just does it.
He doesn't need the money on this one.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't. But hey,
they can't be paying him that much.
I also wanted to just briefly mention, we got a poster this week for Sabrina, the Chilling Tales of Sabrina from Netflix. It just looks pretty cool. I just wanted to mention it.
Yeah, it's a pretty good poster.
Yeah, it's our hair. It's very minimal. It's our hair in solid colours, and then like a cat, the black cat, and
I think the fact they're starting to promote it now. I mean, that's the start of the cycle. I feel like we may get something, a trailer, or a date, maybe at Comic-Con.
Yeah, I feel like Comic-Con would be a time to announce something for us, because it is based on a comic book after all. So
it is, exactly, and it fits in that zeitgeist quite nicely.
Yeah. Plus, they'll have Riverdale there, and even though it's not connected to Riverdale, actually in the show per se, some of the same creators are behind it, but it's not, because I think being on Netflix, it'll be its own thing. And I kind of hoping it will, because, I mean, Riverdale was fine for a trashy show. I'm kind of hoping Sabrina's got a bit more bite to it, a bit more
class.
Yes, a bit more class, a proper horror show. So the poster looked pretty cool. So have a quick Google for the poster if you haven't seen it. So straight on to casting. Not a lot of often we'll start off with a bunch of renewals and cancellations, but we're actually way past that now this time of year. So now it's just straight into some other stuff. But we do have casting. We have a big casting dump for Y the Last Man, or it's just called Y actually right now. The TV show. Yeah, I complained about that titling choice when we first talked about it, but hopefully they come to their senses and just call it Y the Last Man, so people can actually, maybe search for it on Google and actually get a result. But so they've got a bunch of cast. We actually had rumours for the mum character, for Jennifer Brown a while ago. Was it Diane Lane or was it someone else?
I'm not sure.
I feel like it was someone else who was a name, but it wasn't Diane Lane, and that's
that doesn't sound familiar for this role.
But I can't remember who it was. I didn't have time to go look back through our old news files and.
I feel like we did have some rumors, and I feel like that was I remember going, oh, that's someone.
And this is still someone. Like, this is still a big name, but
it is. But I remember going at the time, going, oh, they're putting some effort into this at least.
Do you know what's funny about this to me is it reminds me of Superman where the rest of the cast are kind of unknowns, but you've got that established star as the parent.
Yeah.
You've got what do we call him? Oh God, Marlon Brando. Thank you. I was took me a second. You got Marlon Brando as Jor-El, and then of course you also had Gene Hackman as the villain. I feel like this is kind of a similar situation. Oh, we'll get Diane Lane as the mum. Also, funnily enough, Superman's mum from recent movies. But that's neither here nor there. We don't talk about that. We don't talk about Batman v Superman. We don't talk about Martha. So we got a big cast here. We got Barry Cohen or Cogan. Imogen Poots, who I like Imogen Poots actually, so that's quite cool. Yeah. Lashana Lynch, Juliana Canfield, and Marion Ireland. So it's based on Why the Last Man from Brian K. Vaughan and Pia Guerra. The project traverses the post-apocalyptic world in which a cataclysmic event has decimated every male mammal, save for one. This is actually incorrect. It says one lone human. That is not true. There's also one lone monkey.
Yeah. Was it mammals? I mean, I've not read it. I was always under the implication that it was males of every species, not just mammals. But maybe just got lost in the grapevine.
I can't remember. I don't think it was. I don't. If it was mammals and there were still like fish and stuff, I don't think it was entirely important.
It wasn't a big deal.
It wasn't a big deal. Yeah.
No, fair enough.
Does it really matter if the insects going about are still men?
I mean, for procreation terms, sure. Their
the ecosystem is still surviving, so I assume that at least the insects and the stuff were.
I'm thinking
birds.
like bees. Bees are pretty important.
Yeah. So probably just mammals. I'll say mammals is probably right, but there was a monkey as well, so this is incorrect.
Yes, yeah. The monkey's important.
The monkey is important. So yeah, so Cogan will play Yorick Brown, the main character from the graphic novel, who the show is based on. He is described as a young man, quick to use humour to deflect from his problems, who may be the lone male survivor of a worldwide plague. Imogen Poots will play Hero Brown, his sister. She is a tough but confident EMT. Nurse who has a deep emotional trauma that often leads her to cross personal and professional lines. Why did you have to add that stupid generic?
I'm drinking for that one.
You didn't have to add that generic bit in, damn it, description.
I didn't think I was getting that this time of year.
Yeah, Hero's quite a big character in the book. She is an EMT, but I mean that's more of her backstory than it is what she's functioning as in the main story. But she's quite a notable entrance as well, actually, when we first meet her. And then Diane Lane, as we mentioned, will play Senator Jennifer Brown, Yorick's mother. A junior senator in her first term, Senator Brown has already made a name for herself in political circles for her willingness to put personal ideals above politics. Lynch will play Agent 355, a Secret Service agent who performs the duties of her job with the utmost professionalism, even under the most unexpected set of circumstances. She's a big character as well. She's the character who is kind of tasked with escorting Yorick across the planet because basically, okay, there's one guy left. He might be quite important for maybe continuing the species. We have to try and find something out here from him, and she's tasked with the taking care of him basically. And then Ireland will play Nora, the president's senior assistant and right hand. She effortlessly balances family life with a job navigating the corridors of power. That was borderline personal and professional life.
I'm drinking for that one.
Personal
as soon as you started that sentence, I'm like, it sounds suspicious.
April Bowley will play Rita Farr. Sorry, that's the next story. Never mind, that was the last one. that was the next story. That was a different thing. That's a different show.
See, this is it. So much energy racing ahead.
It's because it was a page break and I couldn't tell if that was another thing. And it started off very similar with, here's this person's playing this. But we got like 5 or 6 cast members there for Why the Last. So it's really happening. It feels like a real thing.
That's the thing I'm taking most of this. I mean, sure, a couple of those cast members are people I know, and that's cool. But most importantly, there are cast members.
Yeah, I love. It said here that Imogen Poots broke out after 28 weeks later, and I'm like, did she? Was she in that? I don't remember. I knew her from various other things after that, but clearly...
It's one of those that you just see around every so often.
But I like Imogen Poots. She was most recently, at least from what I've seen, in I Kill Giants. She was good in that.
Very good in that.
And she was in Green Room, of course, last year, which was also a big... not a big hit.
A very good movie, though.
Very good movie, yeah. So that's Why the Last Man. I'm a big fan of the book, so I'm looking forward to this show. Hopefully it plays its... does its dues, plays its dues, and as a faithful adaptation. I'd hope so, anyway.
Yeah.
If they pull any of this preacher shit where the road trip will start in the second season, I will be pissed. I'll be pissed.
That would be irritating.
They're off on the road, but at the end of issue 1 or 2, right? Do not be dragging this shit out, you bastards.
You get an episode, maybe 2.
Yes. Honestly, it should be the end of the pilot. The end of the pilot should be them setting off.
That makes sense. That sounds like, okay, that's how you start the journey, right?
Yeah. I'll accept 2 or 3 episodes, though, if they want to expand upon it a little bit, but that's what I'm expecting.
Anyway, but not a season.
Yeah, but the news that I was almost stumbling into there was for Doom Patrol and Titans to an extent, because she was already cast in Titans, but now she's going to be a regular on Doom Patrol. April Bilby, or Bowlby maybe, plays Rita Farr, aka Elasta Woman. So, yeah, some casting for Doom Patrol.
Yeah, I'm not super familiar with Doom Patrol, but hey,
Rita Farr is an actress on the rise, adopts the moniker of Elasta Woman after she was exposed to a toxic gas that altered her cellular structure. Longing for the days of old, Rita finds a place for herself amongst the Doom Patrol. So, there you go. Just sort of keeping those shows ticking along, and they're setting cast for them. So, they're happening. There's things.
They are, yeah.
Next up, Jason Momoa has been cast in one of Apple's original series. It's called See. And I remember talking about this, although not anything we said, because there's not actually a lot of information on it. I guess we know a little bit more. All we knew before this, Stephen Knight is behind it. And all we really knew was that it's a series that is supposed to take place in the future, and it is what they're calling a world-building series. What we have now with Jason Momoa being cast is, so it's described as an epic world-building drama set in the future. Momoa will play Baba Voss, what a name, a fearless warrior, leader and guardian. That's all it says.
Sounds like a Momoa character.
Yeah. But in a futuristic city. So I really don't know what this is going to be.
I think, honestly, my biggest concern is they keep saying it's a world-building thing. I'm like,
yeah,
okay, that's great, but have you got a story to back this up?
We'll find out. I guess maybe they'll just be intentionally vague because they don't want to reveal it right
Maybe
now.
they are, but it's the way they keep using that word. Maybe it's nothing I'm worrying of anything, but just give me a little bit of concern. What's
interesting though is that the thing with I was curious if there was more information on this show so we could just talk about it more, and I just googled Apple Original C, because obviously SEE is not something you Google and get a good result on. So the Apple Original Series C, is anything going to come up for it? And there was an article from I think it was like Macworld or something like that, some Apple focused site. But it was like a list of all of the original shows that they've greenlit or have in development, and I was scrolling through it being like, shit, there's like 20 here.
Yeah.
And a lot of them are like big, like either sci-fi or fantasy shows. I was like, Jesus Christ, we're going to have so much to try when all this starts actually coming out.
Yeah.
It was, I'm just saying, if you actually go find the list, because we've been joking they've announced so much, but they actually have. There's tons.
I feel the thing is because they rarely did them in bulk. I think the most we had in 1 week was like 3.
Yeah, but it was for like 3 months. It was 1 a week at least.
It was, and it's really just added up, hasn't it?
So yeah, they're coming out big. DC streaming service, take note. But next up, speaking of casting, and I wasn't sure if we'd talked about this before. It sounded kind of familiar, but it's in the casting section anyway, because that was the main part of the news. Christina Applegate has been cast in the Netflix comedy Dead to Me. Applegate, of course, was most famous for Married with Children. She was a teenage daughter, and then in recent years she was in Bad Mom. She was in the Anchorman movies and a few other things. But Married with Children was what kind of made her famous. She is in Dead to Me. It's a half-hour dark comedy series from writer Liz Feldman, and then Will Ferrell and Adam McKay's company is producing it. So Dead to Me, which is a 10-episode straight-to-series order, has been described as a comedic Big Little Lies. It is about a powerful friendship that blossoms between a tightly wound widow, played by Applegate, and a free spirit with a shocking secret. Applegate will play Jen, a poised and put-together woman with a dark sense of humour and an anger problem that she doesn't necessarily want to deal with. Jen has been struggling to keep it together in the months since her husband was killed in a hit-and-run. So, not a whole lot to go on there, but, dark comedy does sound appealing.
It's hard to judge a comedy based on the premise.
It's worth mentioning she has been turning down TV offers left and right, so they were kind of treating us, she picked this one, so...
Oh, really?
Apparently she's been in high demand this year, and this was the one she finally settled on.
Has she been in something recently that's brought about this demand?
She was in... I think she was in another TV show recently that was quite successful, but I couldn't tell you what it was.
Not someone I haven't seen her in a while, personally.
She was also in a movie. I remember watching a movie when I was a kid called Don't Tell Mum the Babysitter's Dead. I'm pretty sure that was her that was in that.
See what her IMDb says, if it's just recently.
Yeah, or it was like semi-recently. I think they said this is her return to TV after like 5 years after her hit show.
Yeah. No, it's mostly, Bad Moms and, the sequel.
Yeah, yeah.
Nothing's jumping out.
She was in a sitcom in the mid-2000s where she had a mute brother. I remember watching some of that on like cable, like back when I was in high school. But
Up All Night, that'll be a TV show from 2011 to 12.
Listen, that's successful if it only had 1 year.
Yeah, but that fits the time frame, right?
I guess. I mean, she is good. I mean, she's a pretty good actress for comedy.
35 episodes though, so.
Okay, so maybe two seasons.
2 seasons.
All right, fair enough. So that's something that's coming to Netflix. It's the sort of thing we'll probably check out when it hits. Simple half-hour dark comedy. Sounds like it could be good, but there's no way to tell. Could also be the next Santa Clarita Diet, which we instantly just backed out of. Like, no, this is bad.
It's one of those that we should like based on the premise, but didn't do it for us, did it?
It was painfully unfunny. That was the problem.
It was. I think that's the problem with the we can kind of gauge like a drama pretty accurately because it's things are good or bad, whereas with comedy it's just personal preference. Like some people think Santa Clarita Diet's hilarious and love it. Yes,
and we just don't. It's very subjective comedy. So
yeah.
Sticking to Netflix, we're on to some new shows that are being announced here. They announced a new animated series from Aaron Ehaz, who worked on Avatar: The Last Airbender, and Justin Richmond, who is a game director on the Uncharted series. It's called The Dragon Prince, and there was no formal description of it, but they said in an interview at one point. The streaming service's Twitter account tweeted the first poster from the series, which will be about two human princes who forge an unlikely bond with the elfin assassins sent to kill them, embarking on an epic quest to bring peace to their warring lands. And they promise that there'll be some appearances at Comic-Con on July 21st.
Yeah, I saw that poster with the art and the premise. I was like, yeah, I'm down for this. Avatar: Last Airbender is something that I've always been interested in, but it was not quite at my time. I've never gone back to check it out.
Yeah, I never saw it. I obviously heard good things. I do like the Uncharted games. I don't know how relevant that will be to enjoying this, but
yeah, hard to say.
They mentioned someone from it, so hey. Next up, Paramount Network has ordered a pilot for a dark comedy. Well, a couple of dark comedies this week. Look at that. It's called 68 Whiskey, and Ron Howard is attached to direct the pilot. It follows a multicultural mix of men and women deployed as army medics to a forward operating base in Afghanistan nicknamed The Orphanage. Together, they endure a dangerous and Kafkaesque world that leads to self-destructive appetites, outrageous behaviour, intense camaraderie, and occasionally a profound sense of purpose. I think it's fascinating. If you hadn't told me before that was a dark comedy, I would assume this was a dreary drama.
Well, I think Kafkaesque tells you that in jazz. Dark comedy is Kafka, right?
Yeah, I suppose. But what it's about, soldiers in Afghanistan. I don't jump to comedy with that premise.
No, that's true. But
no, dark comedy apparently.
I'm intrigued based on just the tone it's kind of saying.
Yeah. So let's get to the biggest news of the week. This was a last-minute addition as well.
There we go.
To kick off the... Why do you have to... you're not going to probably enjoy this.
No, I am. I know. I've seen the news. I'm sick of the fact that you're relishing in it already.
Look, there is no way on this earth that the announcement of a new Joss Whedon show was not going to send me into the stratosphere with hype, all right? Keep in mind...
That's the real reason you've been so excited coming into this show, isn't it?
Keep in mind, he did create the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
It feels really unnecessary on this one.
But it's also the easiest one I've ever had. So...
I mean, it is. I can't argue with that.
So, HBO has given a series order to a new Joss Whedon show. It's called The Nevers. It is a science fiction drama. It has been described as a sci-fi epic, a sci-fi Whedon show on HBO. Can you hear these buzzwords in my head? They're all colliding. It's working for me, Connor.
This is why you have energy, isn't it? Because when we recorded the thing before this, you hadn't seen this news yet.
I hadn't, no.
And you've seen this, and it's just sparked. You've been like a shot of adrenaline, sparked you to life.
This is the best news of the year. I'm into this. I mean, I mean, I get a new Joss Whedon show announcement and Resident Evil 2 remake announced within a month of each other. What am I doing right? Everything's coming up Millhouse. What do you want from me? Dreams are coming true. Look,
I mean, I think it sounds pretty good, but I mean, Jesus Christ.
It's described as a sci-fi epic about a gang of Victorian women who find themselves with unusual abilities, relentless enemies, and a mission that might change the world. I'm a little confused by the description, admittedly. Are the Victorian women, like, transported in time?
I don't think so.
So, yeah, it's either that, or it's actually going to be, like, set in Victorian times, but it's actually still sci-fi. Like, all the stuff that's coming there and the stuff that's happening to them is still science fiction. Which would be kind of weird and interesting, because you don't really see that very
depends
often.
What, you know, it talks about them having powers. That's kind of sci-fi in itself, right?
Yeah, yeah. So what I'm saying is, usually if it's set in that time period, it'll typically verge into fantasy and magic as opposed to sci-fi. Yeah. So that's interesting. I presume we'll get more at some point. Joss Whedon will serve as writer, director, and showrunner, so he's doing the whole thing. This is going to be a Whedon show. And to get serious for a second here, I'm actually really pleased about this because as much as I love Cabin in the Woods, which he wrote or co-wrote specifically, as much as I love like his Avengers. Honestly, all of my favourite stuff of his is TV. It's him working long form with a group of characters. That is when Whedon's at his best for me. And I'm including Serenity in that because that was a continuation of the season of Firefly. But so the idea that I'm going to have a regular Whedon show again for at least 10 weeks or whatever when this hits is like way more exciting to me than a 2-hour movie. Even though I would still lap up the 2-hour movie, don't get me wrong. But this is still more exciting. This
is 5 times the content of a 2-hour movie.
This is fantastic news. Fantastic news. Did I mention it was fantastic news? Because it's fantastic news.
Yeah, you finished gushing.
It was a competitive situation as well. Apparently Netflix were bidding for it, and HBO snagged it.
Yeah, I'm not sure which is better.
Do you know? It's funny. I feel like in my head he'd probably belong in Netflix, but at the same time, like, just because it's on
HBO, that it's going to be weekly, and you get that doled out to you rather than here's here's 10 hours at once.
I think I prefer it weekly.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I prefer that. And just because it's on HBO doesn't mean it's going to have to be full of HBO nudity and swearing and shit. I mean, I'm sure it'll take some advantage of some of it, but
it doesn't have to be. Might be, but it doesn't have to be.
But what I like about it as well is this is the first time he's had a project that's not on a network. Because even if you count Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's still on a network, and it still has that Whedon kind of flair to it. They definitely had some of that charm that his shows did. And I think I'm excited about what this is going to be. I got a quote here from Whedon as well. I honestly couldn't be more excited. The Nevers is maybe the most ambitious narrative I've ever created, and I can't imagine a better home for it than HBO. Not only are there masters of cinematic long form, so the fact that he's emphasising long form is exciting. And to be fair, all of his shows have always had the long plan in mind. Like, Firefly had a 5-season plan, Buffy had a 5-season plan, Angel had beyond that, really. They were going to go into new stuff after that. But he's always had the long plan, even Dollhouse, which got truncated, obviously, because it was getting cancelled. But so it's their understanding of my odd, intimate epic was as emotional as it was incisive. It's been too long since I've created an entirely new fictional world, and the HBO team offer not just scope and experience, not just prestige, but a passionate collaboration. I could go on, but I'm impatiently grateful to say I have work to do. Yeah, the fact that he mentions they're creating a fictional world, and it's been a while since he's done that, is really exciting, because ultimately, the Buffyverse, the Firefly-verse, like, these are the things I love from Whedon, so, again, everything about this is, yeah, you can sit there and be, like, half asleep and just say sure all you want, but
no, this is the thing, I like Whedon stuff, I don't have the passion that you do, clearly.
You're not dampening my enthusiasm for this. This is shut up to the most anticipated new show of the next 2-3 years, whenever hell long it takes.
Sure.
Late next year if we're lucky. Couldn't make the end of 2019.
Lucky, yeah, I mean, I think that might be ambitious even.
Fantastic news. Everything else after this is going to pale in comparison. There's no point in even continuing the rest of the show.
I have no idea what's in here, but I really hope there's something that I'm way more into.
The rest of it is all. I mean, it's all shit compared to this. Let's be honest. Like this is.
We just finished now then.
It's finished now. So, Joss Whedon's got a new show. We can just wrap it up. done.
That's it. The show's finished. We don't need to ever do news again because never getting topped.
Well, until the next Sweden show's announced in 5 or so years.
That brings us out of retirement, right?
Yeah. But yeah, seriously, I'm ecstatic. So, that's maybe the happiest you've seen me on one of these news shows.
Definitely is.
Oh dear. You know what? We'll do all of Siren season 1. I'm feeling good enough that I'll make promises. We'll do the whole season.
You can do all of Siren season 1 if you want.
I take it back. I'm not serious, folks. Don't think for a second. We're still doing the pilot. We promised we'd do the pilot of Siren. It almost happened last week. We're just trying to squeeze it in.
Yeah, blame my work and overtime.
We haven't actually settled on a new slot for it yet. We're going to have to sit and do that at some point.
Oh, we will, yeah.
It's coming. Anyway, next up. So yeah, the rest of this news, I suppose, just for the formality of going through it.
Yeah, because we have to do it, I suppose.
Next, Netflix again. They've greenlit Letter for the King. It's a kids' family series based on a classic Dutch book of the same name. Will Davies, who worked on How to Train Your Dragon, is going to adapt the novel. So yeah, it's got some cred behind them because those are great movies. Tonke Drag's medieval adventure novel was first published in 1962, combining elements of classic fairy tales and legend. It has since been published over in 25 languages and sold over 1 million copies. And won numerous awards.
Have you ever heard of it?
No.
Not me either. Right.
You're more likely to have heard of it than I am.
Yeah, but I just wanted to make sure I wasn't on my own.
Set across 3 kingdoms, the story follows a teenage squire, Thierry, who embarks... these Dutch names are a bit... I'm not used to these Dutch names. Like, as much as I might struggle with some of the names that they throw at us sometimes, I feel like they always come from the same few languages.
Yeah. Was that last one not just Thierry, though? I mean, I'm not reading it.
Tiuri.
Oh, a U.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, and then the writer of the book, Tonke, Tonke, and then Dragt. Dragged. Tonke Drag. I feel like you need the accent. I feel like their dialect will pronounce it in a way that I just can't predict.
Yeah.
But anyway, set across 3 kingdoms, the story follows a teenage squire named Thierry, who embarks on a perilous mission to deliver a secret letter to the king. The task takes him on an epic and dangerous adventure, as the fate of the kingdom lies on his shoulders. What was interesting to me about this, though, is that it never mentioned animated, so I think it's actually a live action. Because it sounds like an animated show.
I know you never said the word animated, but... in my head, this was animated.
I scoured the article for the word animated, and it never said it. It could still be animated. Maybe it was just an omission in the article, because it sounds like it would be to me. But if it isn't, especially since we've got a writer from How to Train Your Dragon, but then again, a writer doesn't necessarily mean it has to be.
Yeah, but even
same
taking
format.
maybe the only reason we're thinking animated is because they mentioned an animated property, but I don't think so. I think the whole thing just sounds like an animated show, right?
It does, but maybe they want almost like a kid-friendly Game of Thrones, where you've got like the squire going across the lands to get to the king.
Yeah. Hook them early, and then they can grow up and have the real thing.
Well, not actual Game of Thrones, though. They'll want something Netflix do.
They'll have one by then, though.
They'll have their... Amazon's got Lord of the Rings, maybe... And Netflix has got Witcher.
It'll be The Witcher.
Yeah, Witcher. Exactly, yeah. Hook them in, Netflix. Screw the other ones. Witcher.
This is doing, how like comic companies are like, put marketing outwards now. It's hey, Walmart, get the kids in. Yeah. And then they can grow up to the bigger ones later. This is what Netflix is doing. It's like, let's get the kids in early and just keep them in the ecosystem.
That's exactly what it is. Next up, Sci-Fi is... This is a weird thing, actually. I'm not even sure if this is going to end in a TV show or a web series. It's definitely starting as like a web short, but I think it's leading to a TV show. So anyway, Sci-Fi is partnering with online creator network Tongle and Wattpad. I think Wattpad came up in the news like a year ago, because I'd never heard of it, and then you explained to me what Wattpad is.
Yeah, it's the blogging thing, right?
Yeah, it's like people write stories on it and stuff.
Yeah.
The global multi-platform entertainment company for the original series to launch Story to Screen, a digital pilot project, with the aim of adapting Wattpad's viral sci-fi thriller Expiration Date for the screen. So obviously I saw sci-fi thriller Expiration Date. I was okay, this sounds interesting. I'll read what this says, and I thought it was interesting enough that we'll have a discussion about this. So the joint venture kicks off today, whatever day this was posted this week, on the Tongle platform, with a call for filmmakers to pitch how they would bring Expiration Date to life as a digital series at sci-fi.com. Now, I don't know if that means the final series would be on sci-fi.com, or if it's just the first pilot would be for sci-fi.com.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe I would assume it would be a digital series rather than an actual TV show on Sci-Fi, the channel, because it just seems more likely. But
it does.
I think the window's there.
Know.
Yeah. The partnership is just part of the Sci-Fi Wire Fan Creators Initiative launching this month. Blah 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 blah. Created by Michaela Bender. Expiration date was one of the most popular sci-fi stories on Wattpad in 2016 and 2017, with more than 16 million reads to date. The sci-fi thriller takes place in a world, where the date of one's death is known by the mysterious society. Centered on a 19-year-old orphan named Iris Levine, the story imagines a society where citizens are marked with their expiration date, the day they are supposed to die at birth. When Iris's expiration date arrives, a mysterious man saves her from imminent death. Having survived her expiration date, Iris is now the society's biggest threat. So it sounds like a more conspiracy-based Logan's Run to me, kinda.
Yeah, if I've seen this before in an anime.
You probably have. Yeah, something similar at least.
The idea of, oh no, this is when you're gonna die.
It's even not a million miles away to something like Gattaca, where they like sort of predict like you're likely to die young.
It's in that line, isn't it?
Which I don't think necessarily means it's not worth doing again if you've got a new take on it or a new spin.
I don't know, definitely.
It's an interesting enough idea. So starting today, creators can submit treatment that captures what expiration date could look like as a digital series on sci-fi.com. Candidates will be pared down to 3 finalists who will receive funding to produce proof of concept in the form of a series trailer. And then the companies will pick a winner, and that winner will actually get the funding to create a pilot episode. So it's kind of a chance for up and coming filmmakers to maybe get a chance at making a pilot, which is not a bad idea. Because
no.
When I started this story, I thought, is this going to be like Amazon's pilot system, and we're going to complain about it? But then I got to, oh no, it's a chance for people to pitch how they could do it.
I'm always a little bit skeptical about these. I've seen these things, not this exact one obviously, but these systems done before where they're like, hey, submit your ideas, and then because a lot of the time they then own those ideas, and then they'll just do their own version, take the best things they want, and they've just got all this stuff for free.
It is worth mentioning, if you are going to try and submit to this, read the terms and conditions carefully. I know there was one for
horror movie, wasn't it?
Yeah. It was the Annabelle 2, I think, or whatever it was called, the prequel sequel to Annabelle.
Yeah.
That had a weird write-in thing to pitch something, but it had all these weird clauses about them owning it, and if it ever get used, they'd only pay you $50 or something like that, and it was really really bad. It was really really anti. It was just really unethical the way it was treating the people who were submitting things.
But you see, I'm thinking recently at E3, it was in the Ubisoft show. Joseph Gordon-Levitt's company was working with Beyond Good and Evil 2. You create music, collaboratively to go, and other stuff and artwork to go in the finished game.
Yeah.
And they were like, oh yeah, we got a funding pool, and the problem is it's a set funding pool that's going to be split between everyone, and you don't get that up front. You get you have to create your entire thing, submit it, and then it's like, well, if we use it, we'll pay you some.
Yeah, see, that's not as bad to me because it's very upfront in terms of what it is. I feel like with that one, it's oh, you can have some of your fan art in game essentially. I feel like that one's a bit more upfront with what it is, and arguing that should adhere to the practices of people should be paid for their work. I mean, they should be. But I think if they're getting into something knowing that it's basically you can submit fan art to put
that's the thing. You can't submit just your own work. It has to be collaborative. You have to collaborate with people on there and create from scratch with the other people for that program. It's kind of murky. I'm not a fan of it personally. I think it's kind of shady, and I think it's exploiting the fans too, when you could just hire professional, not even just premium, just hire people to do it. That pay them what they're supposed to be.
I don't know, it's murky. I don't know if I necessarily dislike it. I do like the idea of a system of especially a big open world that game's going to be. I think it's going to be on set on a couple of planets. The idea that just not the main stuff, but the random TV screens in shops that have an ad playing, that ad will be made by a fan somewhere. That's a nice idea in principle. It's just murky when you start getting into the. If anything, it should probably just be something where everyone can submit and no one's getting paid. But you're not getting paid. We're just going to tell you right now.
I think you either have to do that, like no one gets paid, which is a little bit bullshit. But if it's just fan content, you're making it anyway. Fair enough.
Well, yeah, it's only bullshit if you don't know it in advance. If they say up front, hey, this is not for profit, you're not going to get paid, it'll be included in the game, and you have to agree to that before you submit. If you know that up front, that's up to you. You can just do it if you want.
That's fair enough. I think the only other way to do it, though, in my opinion, is you have to give, say, all right, we'll use your thing, and here's a flat fee, right? Because the way they do it in the minute is there's like a $50,000 pool or whatever, and you'll get a share of that will be shared amongst everyone evenly from what they use, and it's like, well, that's going to end up like nothing.
Yeah, it depends how many people submit. It also depends how much they pick to put in, because I suppose because if this is the thing, if they picked a flat fee, they would just have a cap as to how much they're allowed to pick, essentially, and then pay everyone who they've picked. But that's a whole other discussion about
it is.
Artists being paid.
I'm wary about these concepts in general.
Yeah, it all comes down to not trusting them, really, ultimately. In theory, there's nothing really wrong with it, especially with this, where it's, you can basically, it's essentially an extended job interview, and then you get funding to make your thing. And even if it doesn't get picked up beyond the pilot, it's like, well, you've got a pilot for your show reel, so I mean, you made something with some funding behind it.
Yeah.
So, Alright, so we'll move on to the next thing, which is a show called The Banker's Wife, which of course is based on a novel, because almost everything we talk about these days is based on either a novel or a comic book, or a foreign show. That's always a possibility.
Yeah, I mean, that's American media creation in a nutshell.
So Posen Vikings executive producer Sherry Marsh is teaming up with Federation Entertainment to produce a show for... they're the producer of Netflix's original Marseille. To develop a show. It's not for Netflix. This is just they're behind a show that's on Netflix. Right. There's no network associated with this yet. It's called The Banker's Wife. It is Christina Alger's novel. It's not out yet, so it's one of these things where they've preemptively grabbed it. It's a high-stakes international thriller set in the world of global finance about two women racing for answers when a mysterious plane crash sets them off in a parallel pursuits of the truth. Interestingly, the rest of the description here only really describes one of the women, but it clearly implies there's two main characters. But here's what we have. It follows a couple who board a private plane bound for Geneva, flying into a storm. Soon after, it simply drops off the radar, and its wreckage is later uncovered in the Alps. Among the disappeared is Matthew Werner, a banking insider at Swiss United, a powerful offshore bank. His young widow, Annabelle, is left grappling with the secrets he left behind, including an encrypted laptop and a shady client list. As she begins a desperate search for answers, she determines that Matthew's death was no accident, and that she is now in the crosshairs of his powerful enemies. So, sounds a bit sort of kind of generic thriller to me.
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's the sort of thing where, with the right style, the right, direction behind it, it could become a really thrilling series, but the premise alone just kind of sounds like, okay, yeah, this is like a blank slate. It could go up, it could go down.
Yeah, I think whenever it's like this, I go in a little bit cynical, because I think it's easy just to be the same as anything else.
Yeah.
So I start a little bit on the negative side, and then it has to prove to me that it's worth being set apart from them.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Next up, Made Up Stories is partnering with Endeavour Content to develop Karen Slaughter's upcoming thriller novel, which, by the way, Karen Slaughter, I mean, it's probably a pen name, but still.
Good choice.
Good choice. So her novel is Pieces of Her. It's been developed for TV with Leslie Linka Glatter, who worked on Homeland and Mad Men, attached to direct, and we have Charlotte Stout, who worked on Homeland and House of Cards, to write it. So we got some names there who have some cred behind them. Pieces of Her asks, what if everything you thought you knew about your quiet middle-aged mother was wrong? What if she has spent the past 30 years in hiding in plain sight? What if, when violence erupts at your local mall and a shooter goes on a rampage, the person who stops him, dead, is your mother? What if everything you thought you knew changed in an instant? Pieces of Her follows Andrea, a woman who thought she knew everything about her mother Laura until the moment she realised that she didn't, and then their world unravels. It sounds like a story of violence, but with a middle-aged housewife.
I was going to say it sounds like.
Oh, go on.
We've been reading it recently from DC Comics, the Silence.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah.
I mean, the kid's a bit younger in that, but that idea, it kind of gets that vibe, right?
Yeah, that sounds like a woman who's already in her 20s and left home.
Yeah.
Who it's her mother who's like in her 50s or whatever, who's this badass with a secret past. Honestly, I'm kind of into it. I could see this being a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can too.
I think the secret life is always an interesting aspect, and then also just the idea of having this badass 50-plus-year-old woman taking out bad guys and stuff, and all it sounds very History of Violence though to me, because in that movie there's like a violent incident that kind of reveals like who he might be. Like, up until there he's been completely normal, and then he takes care of this situation, and all of a sudden there's all this attention, and people whom used to know him maybe start showing up because this made the news and they've found him. So I can see elements of that kind of creeping into this.
That makes sense.
But it sounds okay. So that's called Pieces of Her. Next up, another best-selling novel. This one from the same author as Big Little Lies, Leanne Moriarty, is headed to the small screen. Everywhere Studios has optioned the rights to her latest novel. It's called Three Wishes, and playwright, TV writer Lila Feinberg is going to be writing it, or adapting it to be specific. So it's actually, this one's in works for Netflix, although it's not official yet, but that seems to be where it's developed for. Three Wishes follows three wildly different sisters as their lives intertwine and unfold around their glamorous Manhattan wedding weekend that ends in a shocking tragedy. When a scandalous secret emerges, the tight-knit bond among the sisters is tested, and they unravel a mystery that ripples throughout each of their lives. I'm unsure about something here. Does this whole story take place over this weekend that ends with the tragedy and it builds up to that because of all the mysteries, or does
I get more the impression that's the first.
That's episode. The first episode, and then it all spirals from there. Yeah.
And and them dealing with whatever this is the aftermath. Is the rest of the show.
Yeah. No, that may be right. That sounds like it could be okay. It's not specifically hooking me, but.
I feel like I need to know more about what the tragedy is to get. Is it a death? Is it a secret? What is it that's happened? That gives me some indication as to the direction that it's going there.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have anything for you, but
could be okay though.
But yeah, so it's called Three Wishes, and it seems like Netflix is developing that. So hey, speaking of Netflix, they've also placed an order for their third ever Argentine original series. Or Argentinian, I should say, to say that sentence properly.
Yeah, Argentine, right?
Sorry?
You can say Argentine.
Argentine, sure. The next original from Argentina. That's safe. So it's called Pure to 7. And it is coming from Martin Zimmerman, who worked on both Ozark and Narcos. We weren't keen in the first episode of Ozark, although it got Emmy nominations, so I guess,
Yeah,
whatever.
But do you know what didn't get Emmy nominations?
I saw...
Do you know what else only got one Emmy nomination?
Mr. Robot?
Yeah. Do you want to know what that was in? Out of everything it could have got up for?
Something technical.
It was sound editing. Which, don't get me wrong, I'm quite happy. It deserves a
Twin Peaks
but it deserves a shitload more.
I'll tell you what I was pleased by. Glow did very well. It got like 10 nominations. I'm actually quite pleased with that.
Yeah, I was personally happy to see Star Wars Rebels being announced. For a few. One of them being original music.
Yeah.
Which I think it deserved.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I mean, it's hard to take it seriously when one for Mr. Robot and none for Twin Peaks.
Yeah. What can you say? Yeah. Also, people are like, why isn't there a news segment on the Emmys? Because we don't care about the Emmys. It's basically the short answer.
Yeah, it says a lot that. Oh yeah, that was this week. I've just kind of gone. Yeah, that was bullshit.
Yeah,
that's the extent we've got on it.
I literally didn't see the list until 2 days later, and even then I just sort of skimmed it, and I saw the reactions to things before I actually looked at any of it myself. Anyway, so Pure 7 is coming from Netflix. It is an unflinching exploration of Argentina's infamous and world-famous soccer Barra Bravas, the bare-torsoed soccer fans feared by the public and even police response for the fatalities at soccer matches. One narrative, because there's a couple of plot lines here, it tells us about them. One narrative line follows a woman's attempt to cut through this male-dominated world and cleanse one of the club's one of its corruption and criminal element in order to redeem her family name. Another charts one young man's transformation into a Barra Brava to lift his family out of the back-breaking poverty How it's profitable, I don't know, but I mean, I'm sure the show will tell us about that. And a third chronicles a civil war between different Barra Brava factions at the same club. I could not be less interested in this. Like, what could they do to make me less interested? I'd like a wizard. Like, this and a wizard. And
I don't know. The insanity of that must have you a little intrigued, right?
Okay, I'd be curious as to what the wizard's doing there, admittedly. But, yeah, football hooligans, no, I'm good. I'm really good. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I feel like there's a story there, but I personally, I'd just rather watch a documentary on that. If I was going to.
Yeah, that makes some sense. Which does take us on to our last news story of the week. Julie Depley, who of course, at least I know her most from the Before Sunrise, Sunset trilogy. Very good. But she is working on bringing a show to AMC. It's based on an Israeli web series called Confess. And she's developing it as an adaptation. As an actual TV show, she's going to write it and executive produce. Confess is an anthological series set in Tel Aviv, but Depley's version will be set in the US. Like the original, it will explore the current hookup culture and how digital media is changing people's private lives. So that sounds like each episode is going to be its own story, from the sounds of it.
Yeah, I think so. Each one is going to be, here's a Tinder app, here's, here's
speed dating, here's this thing, here's Facebook, here's that.
Yeah,
whatever.
through mutual friends on Facebook.
Yeah. It's the sort of thing where the premise isn't super exciting to me. Her being involved though, if she captures some of the magic from those movies, like the awkwardness of how people are meeting each other for the first time, there's potential there. Like I'm not willing to put money on it and say this will be great, but
yeah, fair enough. I mean, nothing about it does it for me personally, but that doesn't mean it won't be a good show potentially.
So no, that's the news. And obviously sometimes here at the end we'll pick our favourite episode of TV of the week. Unfortunately, we only had one new episode of TV this week, and that was the Handmaid's Tale finale. So I guess
that's not true. We had Sharp Objects.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we had an episode on Sharp Objects. I mean, Handmaid's Tale's winning, but
by a country mile.
I mean, Sharp Objects wasn't bad though. Sharp Objects, I think, had a promising, if not perfect, start.
Yeah, you liked it a bit more than I did.
Yeah.
I thought it's all right, but
we're checking out episode 2 next week and seeing how it is.
Yeah, but Handmaid's Tale's head and shoulders above.
Yes, very good. Very divisive though. I've seen there's a lot of a lot of people against the finale and not very happy with it.
I can understand elements of that because as we spoke about in our review, there were parts of it that I was personally disappointed in.
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it.
Yeah, but no, there's a lot of people who are like, no, the second season, sucked, and they're quitting the show and all the rest of it, and I don't quite get that.
Yeah, I'm definitely not that. I had some problems. Don't get me wrong. I don't think it was as good as the first season overall, but yeah, I'm not quitting the show by any means.
But hey, so that was pretty much it. It's worth mentioning. It's not next week, I don't think, is it? Castle Rock.
Week after.
Week after, yeah. But that's the next show that's starting that we'll be checking out. And that's the Stephen King set, sort of shared universe show.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. It is pretty quiet for TV because next week is just going to be Sharp Objects.
That's true. That's true. Of course, we're doing classic episodes of Star Trek every week if you like our already cancelled series.
Of course. So on top of that, we have our off-season content for television from the multiverse, where you can hear us talk about Smallville.
And Lois and Clark and Young Justice, but Smallville's the one we tend to complain about the most, so that's always a possibility.
So Smallville's where we get more passionate in our hatred.
Yes, indeed. So there's that. And we're doing some more movies right now, sort of make we have more time for them. So we're doing some more movies here or there. It's worth mentioning as well that Better Call Saul's coming back next month, so that's probably the next thing we're really looking forward to in terms of TV.
And it is right at the start of next month, I believe.
Yeah. Also worth mentioning, actually, me and Matt are doing Glow. We're 3 episodes into season 2. We're doing 2 a week. One midweek, one on Sunday. Typically has been the pattern. So you can expect the next one of those on Sunday. So you can look forward to that. But yeah, so that's pretty much it. There's not a whole lot else to say at the end of this week's show. But I mean, it was a more heavy show this week than last week. Last week was a really short episode. This was a proper 40-minute plus, maybe even 50-minute plus, depending on how it adds together. And we had the Joss Whedon news, so clearly this was a big week.
Yep. No guesses for what he's headlined the title of this video.
It's just a shame there won't be an image for the show yet. There's no artwork for it. I can't
just have his face.
I might just have Whedon's face in the thumbnail.
Why not?
To be fair though, it's the biggest news of the week. Like, it's not like I'm.
No, I can't dispute that.
It's not like it was announced the same week as, like, I don't know. Oh, the first look at the Witcher casting with an image of the actor in, like, Geralt outfit.
Yeah. I think that's the only part that's weird about using his face. That would be a bit of a break from format for you.
Yeah, because it's usually like actual like in show art or photos or whatever.
Yeah, it'll be something to do with one of the actual shows. You know, like official pictures, not just here's a dude's face.
But you know, if that's all they're offering me, because you know, I'm looking through some of the early stuff. I could put away the Last Man image, but I mean, it's just we've talked about that enough, and it's a casting update. And as much as the Sabrina poster would make a good image, like we didn't really have much to add to it beyond there's a poster that's out that's cool.
You got that Netflix one, the animated one that had a poster.
I may have a book cover, but
no, the one that they put out the post for on Twitter.
Oh right, the Last Airbender did, yeah. I'm not picking that, but yeah, it's a fair point.
Oh, he's going with the big giant head.
Now, see, now it sounds like they're talking about Third Rock from the Sun, because that was William Shatner's character on that.
Yeah. Do you know what the worst part is? We're talking about this right at the end of the show. They already know you went with the big head.
Hey, at least I'll resist the urge to put a caption saying "Best Ginger" at the bottom.
I don't know if you will.
I'll resist.
You say that now. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you got weak.
But hey, that is this week's TV news. So let us know what you thought of the news this week in the comments below. Like and subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on the Patreons at patreon.com/MailedFuzzTV if you want to support this channel and everything we do here. Keep us going. You get bonuses and stuff. And of course, if you can't do that, then like, subscribe, all the usual things. That also helps. But that is it is. And do check out what's something to promote at the end of this here news video. I will say that it's Friday the 13th at the time of recording, and me and Tim are on the 6th Friday the 13th film. We put that up on streams after midnight today, so you can go check out that. So that went up yesterday. By the time you see this, it'll be yesterday. But it's there. And we're 6 movies in. We've been working through them. So
do you do one every Friday the 13th?
Quicker than that. We've been doing them about once a month.
Oh. But if there is a Friday the 13th, it's guaranteed.
Yeah, we started in Friday the 13th in October. That was the first one. And I think this is the second one that's been on a Friday the 13th.
Oh, man. How rare is a Friday the 13th in October?
I imagine it's probably once every 8 years or something like that.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. I don't think it's that absurdly rare, but...
Rare enough.
Yeah. Rare enough that when we realised there was one in October, we're like, oh shit, we need to start the Friday the 13th movies here. Like,
yeah.
No question.
Forget whatever else we had planned that day. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So you can check out that. Just something to promote. There you go. You can also actually check out my streaming. I've been streaming games a lot recently. There's a Mailed Fuzz TV Twitch channel. You can have a look at that as well. If you like people, or just come and talk to me when I'm playing games. You don't even have to talk about games. If you don't care about games, fine. Just come and talk to me about movies and TV.
Just come and talk to me. You sounded so lonely when you started that.
That's the thing, though. I just sit and chat to people in the chat when I'm playing games.
Yeah.
It doesn't really matter what it's about. But that's that. So yeah, thank you very much for watching and listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching TV, guys. Have you got any vanilla?